Hello, welcome back to another Manga Talks episode. Today we're going to go through just some reading updates. So that will include hauls and what I'm reading at the moment and something I recently read. But I wanted to start off with the hauls first because obviously it's very exciting. This one is the main book. Here is an art book by Matsuda Kouichi titled MAKUNOUCHI, which is a type of like bento lunch. And this was released by Takaume, which is a Japanese bookstore. Here's the postcard. In 2025. So this book here also is signed, which is amazing. So as you can see, we have these silver inked illustrations and signature by Matsuda Kouichi. So this one I think was limited to maybe 500 copies or more, could have been 1,000, but yeah, it was limited. And I got this by, you'd have to contact the bookstore directly if you want to order, because yeah, obviously they do within Japan and outside of Japan they do orders, but you just have to go through their Instagram. That's what I did. So went through their Instagram just to double check details with them in terms of shipping and all that, and yeah, and they'll email you all that type of stuff. So not sure, maybe there is still some left over, but yeah, this is the first like large format art book that Matsuda Kouichi has had, because in the past he did do like one of those like smaller art books, which I do have and I have shown off before very early in the channel, but it's been quite a while since he's released another art book since then, and this is such an amazing book. Like I didn't really go into this book expecting like any specific thing, but the amount of illustrations we get and the radiance of the colors of all these are so amazing. And not only is this just an art book, it also has a translated manga in it as well. So it's actually in English, and it includes quite a number of pieces from his exhibition. So he's been very busy in the past couple of years, and you'll see these big 2-page spreads as well. We'll have to censor that one. And here it is. Takaume is the name of the store. So Matsuda Kouichi, if you love Heta Uma, if you love, for me personally, I see a lot of similarities between his color choices and Toshio Saiki's, for example. And obviously there is a clear influence by Ebisu Yoshikazu, Heta Uma artist. And if I go to the back, this is really cool too. This also includes the axe covers that he did. So all the illustrations, I actually do have these two, I think. I have this one definitely. I'm not sure if I have this one yet. And this is the cover art for his manga, Unme. So this was released by Seirin Kogeisha, I think maybe last year. And it's just a collection of his one-shots that were published in Axe. I don't actually have that one. I have read a couple of his Axe stories just throughout random issues, but really cool too. I actually love his black and white so much. It's such a different vibe to everything. Of course, it leans more towards the Ebisu type of vibe too, but it feels like Ebisu, but more chaotic. There's a lot more happening on each page. And here is the translated comic. So I haven't read this yet. I've only done like a brief flip through of this book, but yeah, excited to go through that. Very interesting choice that they did to make it translated into English. So it's a rare choice, but I very much appreciate it. And what's really cool too is that when I said before that Matsuda Kouichi has been very busy, yes, he's been doing a lot of illustrations and also a lot of exhibits as well, and those exhibits include merch. So he's had different collaborations with some like clothing companies. He's done skateboards as well, and here are more of his illustrations and more of the clothing collaborations he's done. So amazing stuff. Oh, there we go. And quite a number of skateboards too. So extremely prolific right now. So if you are a Matsuda Kouichi fan, or if you are a fan of this work, just looking through this book here, I will put a link to his Instagram page, because I believe he does also sell original art too. And here just a little bit of information about recent activities, about Koichi Matsuda himself. Yeah, so Koichi Matsuda works 2020 to 2025. Published by Take Ume. Limited edition of 300 copies. Wasn't 500, 300. So yeah, I will also put the link to Take Ume in the description as well. So maybe they still do have more copies. But I know in Japan at least, recently he announced a signing event too. So probably by the time this video, is released, it'll pass. But it's just really cool to be seeing someone in the alt manga side of things, when you think of acts, to be so busy with a lot of works, putting out a lot of artwork, doing exhibitions. It's always great to see for an artist. So yeah, that was the first book here. It's pretty much the main haul, to be honest, because I'm not buying that many books at the moment. These are the only other two books that I have picked up recently. So this one is called Launch You Into the Sky by Ito Kyu, and this one is I Need to Become Immortal by Yauyauto. So recently I've been trying to improve my Japanese a lot more consciously, and so I've been choosing to haul a lot more recent releases, just because it's a lot easier for me to read and understand. And so these two books are ones that I decided to pick up. So in terms of what they're about, I only know what the premise of each one is. So Launching Into the Sky is pretty much a coming of age story about, I'm just going from the synopsis, about a boy named Minami. He's a high school boy living quite a gloomy life. And one day he meets another boy named Kita, who doesn't usually come to school. And so Kita asks Minami to make fireworks with his ashes. So it sounds like a very tragic sort of story, but the one thing that caught my eye was the art style. So it's very rough, but I think it works really well, especially for the subject matter at hand too. And all the artwork looks very dynamic. So excited to get into this. And I think the difficulty of the writing would be fine for me. I think I'll be okay reading it. But yeah, this is Launch Into the Sky. I really love the cover art as well. Very eye-catching. If you spread it out, you'll see both the boys there. And then this one, so this one was released, I think, very recently. Yeah, 2025. I did also see a lot of, some people put this book on their top list of 2025 for those who, read Japanese. So that was another reason that I wanted to pick this up. And then the next book here is called I Need to Be Immortal by Yauyauto. This is a collection of short stories published, I think, in 2025. Yeah, 2025 as well. So collecting from Torch, and Torch is quite an interesting publisher. They do a lot more of the less mainstream type of stories, and straight away, number one, like the cover art is very eye-catching. I love the greenish blue colors, and it's got that sort of mystery to it. You've got little hints of like what could be happening in the story, and so if you take a look at the art, very detailed, and I love this type of character design where we have these simple, they're quite simple, right? But they're usually contrasted with super crazy things just happening in the background. One of my favorite types of art styles. I wouldn't really know if there's a word for like this type of design, but it's so good. So this one as well, the Japanese seems okay for me too. So I will, there we go. I just saw the cover art there. But yeah, absolutely no idea what's going to happen in this story, but a lot of crazy stuff it looks like. So I cannot wait. But yeah, on the topic of hauling stuff, as of recently, I've been looking at more recent releases just to improve my Japanese. But at the same time, I always have an extensive list of what I want to pick up in terms of the world of alt manga, of Gekika, Heta Uma, Eroguro, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I always have my eyes out on that. At the moment, because I'm trying to stick to reading the bulk of what I have left physically, I am trying not to buy too much. But I'm getting through good progress. I have an Excel spreadsheet of everything, and at the moment, in terms of my manga, I've read around 83% of what I have, and that will be, I think I have around 900 manga. So I only have like 150, 160 left to read. Although it both sounds like a lot and also little as well compared to how much I have read in the past. So yeah, that's what I'm focusing on at the moment. And so that was the haul for today. So not too much, but still each book is very exciting for me. And then what I want to go through as well is just one recent read that I had. Let me just put these books away. So one recent read that I had was this one here called Shoujo Dome by Kanda Mori. So this translates to Girls Alliance, and it's a collection of a couple of different stories. So as you can see here, anytime you see these white little bookmarks in a book, that means it just indicates for me what I cannot show. So a lot of this book I will not be able to show on screen because there is a lot of senseless violence, a lot of nudity and gore. But Shoujo Dome is the second work that I've read from Kanda Mori. So of course they do a lot of horror stuff. And the first book that I read from them was Minagoroshi Gakuen, which is a massacre school. And I quite enjoyed that one. But honestly, for this book, I didn't enjoy it as much. So there are 4 stories here. And one of the major story that we see, so you can see it spans like 90 pages. This is one about a cult. I did not enjoy that at all. I thought it was pretty basic in my opinion, and I felt like it didn't need to span 90 pages compared to the other stories. But yeah, I'll just go through a brief rundown of each story and the premise. So the first one here we have is the titular story called Shoujo Dome, and it's essentially about a club of girls who go about and be vigilantes. And the girls you can see over here, so these are the elite club, and they go around protecting girls, and they have their own club where they can do their own things. But of course there are sinister things happening in the background, and I'll just show you an example of what they do to men that wrong them. They cut off their dicks. So great stuff already. But as we slowly go through the story, we learn that they have an ulterior motive to recruiting all of these women, and that motive is essentially they want to, it's impossible to really showcase anything. They want to like create a, one second, sorry, oh my god, it's okay, it's impossible to show anything, but they want to like create a sort of serum for like anti-aging or like beauty that is made out of fetuses. So they take these women and they artificially inseminate them, which is insane. To be honest, I didn't really like this story either. I think I put this book as like a 4 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10. So yeah, not my thing at all, but I did get through the whole thing. But yeah, that was the first story, just full of gore, that first one. And then the second one we have is over here. This is Mimiko Becomes a God, and this one is essentially about a cult. So Mimiko gets into, wait, did I read that right? Was that Mimiko? Yeah, Mimiko. Mimiko gets dragged into a cult, and she gets very obsessed with everything that's happening in there. That's her over here. And yeah, I felt like this was unneeded in terms of how long it was, because you know how cults work. I feel like there's no real need to really go into so much detail about this personally, in a story at least. But yeah, the cult's goal is to essentially just cause an apocalypse. Very weird goal in terms of how they do it, because they want to release like a bird disease onto the world that kills everyone. Yeah, it's very, very random. But I'm going to just skip over and just show you what it looks like in terms of the bird diseases. So bear with me a second. Okay, and there's like kind of two arcs as well. It's the first part of it is where Mimiko, you know, she gets in the cult, and then the cult leaders like eventually like kill themselves, or like they lose to her because she develops powers or something. So she kills them, and then she becomes the head of the cult. And that second part of it is her trying to like bring the cult together. Oh man, it's so tough to show anything here. Insanely tough, but I'll just show more scenes of that. And I'll show the ending as well, because, you know, it's a crazy, crazy ending. But yeah, here they are. So they're releasing all these birds into the world, and if you get bit by them, you start rotting immediately. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story there. And so we move on to this one here. This one is kind of like, what's it called? Like the hatred of the beautiful people, twins? I don't even know. Did not like this one either. It's essentially following a set of conjoined twins. And it's kind of like we slowly get to learn more about them. One of them is quite evil over here, and we eventually see, like them hurting all these other family members and all that, very gory. And eventually, like, they cut themselves in half, and the ending of it is that one of them sticks themselves to another guy. It's, yeah, crazy stuff. Not my thing either. And then the last one is just a Christmas one, Santa Claus one. So it's just Santa Claus, but he is evil, and he goes out and murders people, and he kidnaps a guy and a girl, and they become his reindeer. And how do they do that? Well, they just cut off, Santa Claus just cuts off their limbs, and they just act as a, you know, little reindeer. So yeah, I did not really enjoy this book at all, unfortunately. Hopefully the other Kanda Mori books that I have will be better. I think I have 2 or 3 more in my collection, because, you know, I really enjoyed Massacre School, the first one that I read, but Girls Alliance is not my thing. But I do love the cover though. It's cool. But yeah, as well with Kanda Mori, and also Tanima Yumeji too, very, very text heavy, which is something that for horror I'm not really a fan of. I mean, I can deal with it, but preferably I do like my horror less wordy, but you know, it's their style. But yeah, so that was a recent read that I had. And just in terms of like last part of the video, just generally talking about other reading updates. So since I have been trying to, or like getting better at my Japanese, I have started rereading stuff too, now that I'm better at it. So I've been rereading 2 of Miyazaki Natsujikei stuff. So this is their debut work called, what's this called again? This one is called I'll Be Back by Evening. So I started off with this. I read these quite a while ago, and I really loved them, and I reread them again, and I love them even more now. So just generally the premise of this, they kind of are both centered on a similar theme of like escaping reality and isolation. So we have a boy here whose sister has become a shut-in. His parents are completely obsessed as cult members, and he meets like a landlord guy who seems to be cloning his sister. So it seems to be like he owns an apartment where every single room is filled with clones of his sister, which I think is interesting. I think, you know, it's very hard to explain the plot or synopsis of a lot of Miyazaki's works, which I enjoy. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happening in all of this, but this one is specifically focusing on running away from reality in terms of trying to break away from like family trauma, because, you know, their parents have been so harsh to the sister specifically, and the brother there is kind of dealing with his emotions of having a sister who's run away and now living in a family that is completely like they've just lost their minds, just insane cult follower behavior. And so really enjoyed that. And then this one is called Even in Your Absence He Continues to Shine. I feel like it's hard to say which one's more wacky because they're both wacky. Everything Natsujikei does is wacky, but this one specifically is focused on a high school boy who has in his mind like an ideal or like I guess you could call it an imaginary friend of sorts named Golden Yukiko, and that kind of blends into reality as he meets this girl here who also goes by Yukiko. And for him, it's his two worlds colliding. It's his the world in his mind versus reality of this girl here, and he's kind of trying to consolidate it and trying to learn to embrace the present reality. And so there's a lot of stuff that happens. It's quite a thick book actually, like nearly 300 pages, like if you compare the differences here. But yeah, it's a really enjoyable one. It's less, I think, less random than this one is because there's a lot of just crazy stuff happening here. But this one is a lot more contained in like a high school setting. There's not really too much that deviates from the synopsis that I was talking about before. But you know, this was created a lot later compared to their debut work. This was 2018. I think their debut was maybe 2015, 3 years, but still, yeah. So yeah, really enjoying the rereads that I'm doing for Natsujikei. I am planning to do another reread as well of one of my other favorite manga, which is Aoi Ikebe. This is not the one that I'm planning to reread. There's another one that they have that was more recent relating to robots. But this one I do plan to read. So these books here are current or plan to read books. So this is called Ne Mama by Aoi Ikebe, and it's a collection of short stories, and it also includes a continuation or like a sequel story of a tankobon that Aoi Ikebe did by the name of Kagome. So it's the one about the nuns. But really love, like, maybe I should make a video on like my favorite mangaka someday, but I think that's a bit tough because I have so many. But you know, Natsujikei and Aoi Ikebe are some of my favorites of all time. And so my currently reading will be these two. So they're both short story collections. I do have a lot of anthologies in my collection, but this one is a Yuri anthology that goes back in time pretty much. And so each short story in this anthology is following a different era. So like Showa period and Heiwa period, whatever, all that type of stuff. But yeah, each short story pertains to a different time period. And of course, they are all GL stories. So this one was very recent too, I would say, yeah, 2025, last year. And then this one is a book called the Mamada Attraction Theory, Gravitation Theory. It's the titular story here. You see this person. This is by Tomii Masako. And the first story I have read, essentially about the main character Mamada, who is a very attractive guy. Everyone falls in love with him as soon as they see him. But one night he is visited by the moon in his dream, and the moon tells him that, yeah, you know, right now, or like in the future, in the near future, you're gonna your attraction is going to peak, and then after that it's gonna go away. And he's like, what the hell's happening? But he sees it happening, so all these people start to get more and more passionate with him, even animals too. But eventually he realizes, I guess he took everything for granted. His attraction is gone, and then his friend has always been there from the start, and they just help him there. But yeah, that's all I've read so far. But it's cool that they have these different page colors as well. Each story has its own little tint to it. But I do love the art. Very cute, very funny. And yeah, so those are my current reads, my plan to read right now. So a lot of different stuff all over the place, but you know, I am enjoying a lot of it, which is cool. And yeah, so I think that will be the end of today's video. Just wanted to do this short, never mind 25 minutes, not short not short update on just random stuff relating to manga and books on my end. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.